Good morning. Hopefully you've watched our first lesson this morning and had a go at making the scratch project. If you haven't, don't panic. You can watch the video afterwards and do it again at your own speed. Just pause the video whenever you're making something in the code. I'm going to start off with showing you a couple of common problems. So you can see my scratch project here. One common thing people might come across is that when you click the green flag, your hedgehog's legs aren't moving. So that's a fairly common one because it's an easy mistake to make. What probably has happened is that instead of having these two blocks inside the forever loop, you've forgotten the forever loop. So if there isn't a forever loop and we click the green flag, then the hedgehog's legs don't move at all. It probably moves once if you look carefully. It's hard to see, isn't it? So make sure you put the forever loop around these two blocks. There we go, like that. So that's a very common problem to come across. Forever loops are really important. You'll use them lots, so keep an eye on those. Another common problem that you might find is that your hedgehog doesn't move. So if you click the green flag and press up, then your hedgehog should go up, or right, or left, or down. If it doesn't work, then what you may have done is, again, missed a forever loop. The forever loops are pretty important here. So let's see what happens if I haven't got a forever loop. If I take this one apart, there we go. So if I press the green flag now, if I press the right button, nothing happened because it only checks once at the beginning when the flag is clicked if the right key is pressed. It's not always checking. We need it to be always checking if the right key is pressed. So let's put the forever loop back around that. There we go. And let's check my code is still working. Yay, great. So that's a common problem that you might come across. Another problem you might find is your hedgehog is going too fast. I wonder if you can figure out why you might have that. The thing to look at is this number here, so the change in x or change in y. If this number is really big, say if I make it 100 and then try pressing the right arrow, I might move my hedgehog over here, otherwise it'll disappear. There we go. You can see the hedgehog just zooms off into the distance. So if you've got a big number there, the hedgehog's going to take big steps each time you press the arrow. Same in any direction. So we want that to be 2 if he's going to the right or up. Because do you remember the axes in Scratch? I think I've got it open here. Yep, here we go. So the x-axis goes across and the y-axis from bottom to top. So if you want to move to the right, you have to go in the x direction. Which brings us to another common problem in that you're going in the wrong direction. In the wrong direction, you have to look at the axes. So the x goes across, so that means if you're moving left or right, you need to be changing the x direction. I'll show you what that looks like if you do it wrong. So if we take out the x one here and instead have, from the motion category, change y, we'll make it 2 just so it's fair, you know. Now click the green flag. I might just bring my hedgehog back. There we go. So if I click the green flag now, can you see what's happening? I'm pressing the right arrow, but my hedgehog is facing to the right, but going up. So you can see it's moving in the y direction. I need him to move in the x direction. So if I take out this block and throw it away, there we go. We need change x by something. There we go. And let's check my hedgehog works. If I go right, yeah, perfect. Very nice. So those are quite easy ones to miss, especially with the x and y. The other thing to look out for is if we go down, so the right and up are fairly straightforward, but the left and the down, you've got to think about what numbers go in here. So for the left arrow, if I have a 2 in here, let's see what happens. So if I press the left arrow, can you see my hedgehog is pointing to the left but going right? So it's increasing the x-axis number by 2. We want, when you press the left key, for it to take away 2 from the x-axis. So that's why we need -2 in there. Let's check my hedgehog works again. If I press left, yeah. And same for the down arrow as well. If your down arrow isn't working right, down direction isn't working right, it could be to do with this number here. So if you're going down, you need change y by something. So if that's 2, let's see what happens. So we're going down. See, my hedgehog's facing down but going up. So again, we need -2 in here. Okay, so those are some common problems you'll find. Let's have a look and see if anyone's commented on any other issues. No other ones at the moment. Another common one that you might find is if you've done this bit, so the touching colour purple, if it's not working, you might want to look at the colour and check you've got that, because if you've just tried to make it look right, see, that looks like the right colour, doesn't it? But if we try and take the hedgehog now, if I use my arrow keys and drive the hedgehog to the fence, he just goes through the fence. So you need to get the colour exactly right. So if I click on the colour, you've got to click on this dropper symbol at the bottom, and this takes a colour from the screen. So over here we've got to get the middle of it. You can see that little square in the middle. You've got to get that over the colour that you want. So if we wanted the colour of this plant, we could get it right in the middle of that flower. But we want to get it right on the edge to get the exact shade of purple. There we go. So now that should work. Let me just check. Yeah, that's great. And if your hedgehog isn't bouncing forward, you might want bouncing backwards, sorry, but instead going forwards, you might want to check this number. If it's -10, then that's good. He's going to go backwards 10 steps. If it's +10, he'd try and crash into the wall again, which obviously is not what we're looking for. The other one you might want to make sure is correct in your game is these random blocks. When we get them from the operators category over here, they default to the values of 1 to 10, which is probably good if you're playing a dice game or something like that. You might want 1 to 6 perhaps, but for us 1 to 10 doesn't work because you remember the x-axis and y-axis are much bigger than that. If we look at the section on here, I think it shows, yeah, so x goes from -175 to +180, y-axis goes from -120 to +120. So make sure you've got those numbers in your game. So let me check, yeah, I've got -175 to 180. Let's see what happens if I get those wrong. So if I had the pick random 1 to 10 in there, and let's see. So can you see it's staying around that area? So the Y one is moving wherever in the Y-axis. So he's moving up and down in lots of different places. But the X-axis is only staying within this short range of 1 to 10 in the middle. So it hardly looks like he's moving. So make sure you've got those correct. To throw a block away, you just grab it and take it over here if you haven't figured that out yet. So let's put this one back in there and check my hedgehog still works. Yeah, appearing randomly everywhere. The other thing to consider is make sure you save your project. You see I've got save now up here, so I'm going to save that because I want to make sure I keep my game working correctly. Let's have a look back at the comments and see if anyone has asked any questions. No more questions. The other one that I would say can be an issue is the forever loop in this one too. So you could have no forever loop like we looked at with the other blocks, and then it will only check one time, and then after that you'll be able to go through the wall. Of course you might end up with a forever loop in the wrong position, so if it's inside like this and you just happen to touch the wall at the right time, so for example if it's the hedgehog's here and I click the green flag, the hedgehog will go a bit crazy. So you need to make sure the loops are in the right place. So we need the forever loop around the outside of the if loop. There we go. So that covers any common problems in this game. I suppose the problem you may have is that your account isn't working. You can't get on to Scratch. That one, if you go to our Earth Games website and look at online resources, so that's earthgames.uk, there's a video here about setting up Scratch. It's very simple to set up Scratch, but if you need a bit of help, then just click that and watch the video. You'll need a parent or guardian or teacher's email address, but one grown-up can set up many accounts on their email address, so you don't need to worry if your teacher's doing the whole class, for example. If you forget your password when you get to Scratch, you'll see a screen at the top where you can click up here to log in, and if you can't remember it, it will there's a link there you can click and they'll email you a password reset email. I think that's all the common problems. Let's just see if anyone's asked any other questions. No, I think that's all today. So next week we'll be moving on to lesson 2. If you're super keen, you can go to our website, online lessons here, and look at lesson 2. So this will open another slideshow, and you can start doing it if you're super keen. So we're going to be looking at variables, including speed and health and a timer. We will be adding another sprite as well, so you'll find out next time what we're going to add. And if there's no more questions today, let's just have a quick look. No, it looks all good. Then I'll stop now. If you have any questions during the week, remember you can go on our website and click on Ask an Expert, and that will send us an email with your question. We'll post the answers in the frequently asked questions on the website. If you're not busy this morning, you might want to tune in later for our insect board game. Have a look on the Earth Games website and find out all about it. It's a fantastic competition. Thank you for your time, and we'll see you next week at 10 o'clock.